go, and if you don't play good, the first practice they'll cut you.
Oh, which team was it for?
The Charlotte Bobcats and the Washington Wizards. As one man, I think as long as you can take care of yourself and provide for you, then I think that's successful.
Bienvenue dans un nouvel épisode de l'entrevue, votre podcast business, sport et art. Je suis H, votre hôte, et aujourd'hui on accueille un invité spécial car il s'agit d'un joueur professionnel de basketball américain qui a joué de nombreuses années en Suisse et qui est détenteur de plusieurs titres et plusieurs records. Petite précision pour cette interview qui est un peu particulière, elle sera conduite en anglais, donc il y aura les sous-titres qui vont apparaître en bas de la vidéo pour que vous puissiez la suivre avec nous. Sans plus tarder, on accueille Juwann James. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to have you here. So, you are a professional basketball player, as I said earlier, and you have played in America. That's where you come from.
Yeah.
America has basketball as one of the most famous, but as also another one, American football.
Right.
Why basketball and not another sport like this?
I think just growing up, I grew up in America in the South. So in the South, particularly in Georgia, in a small town, so we know basketball and football. So just growing up, I was a huge football fan. Okay. I love football. I was always playing football. And I just had a passion for it. But I never really played organized football. I would always play in the park, outside, at my cousin's house. And slowly, I began to play basketball. Okay. But I wasn't too good, but you can see as a young kid, I was athletic.
Yeah.
And
you had strength.
Yeah, I had strength. I had the size, but I didn't have the skill.
Mm-hmm.
But my mother, she played growing up.
Okay.
So she would come out, and just play with me outside, just shoot with me, play one-on-one. And I heard stories of her that when she was younger, she used to be good. So she used to beat me in a few games every time. But I just gradually just went into basketball way. But I always had a passion for football.
Yeah.
I always had a lot of my friends played football and things like this. So I was always around American football too.
You are a professional player right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you were always aiming for since you started basketball, or is that something that came after you started playing?
Well, initially when I started to play, I wanted to be good. And then after, when you're watching TV, you're seeing everything, I knew I wanted to play professional.
Okay.
I knew that was the goal, to play in the NBA. And if I couldn't make the NBA, then in Europe. But I knew I wanted to be professional. And just like a small goal, I just wanted the respect. I wanted people around my city, around my state, my group of friends. I wanted to be considered good.
Yeah, that's interesting that you have this way of thinking, because usually people would start play sports, any sport, but in that case basketball.
Right.
They would start to play for just for the sake of playing.
Yeah.
And then when they realize they are good, they start to think, oh, okay, maybe I can get pro, I can go pro.
Yeah.
And how were the people reacting to this, of you wanting to be pro? Did they believe you? Did they doubt you? Did they make fun of you?
I mean, I didn't really say it. In my mind, I knew that's what I wanted. But I think it gradually, it built. In the first, I said it in my mind, but in actuality, I was just thinking maybe I can play for my middle school team, then maybe my high school team. Maybe I can get a scholarship to go to college. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I don't know what. But once I started telling someone that was the goal, at least where I'm from, they was just like, hey, go out and do it. Like, no one never, I didn't think they doubted me. I just felt like they supported me, and they wanted to see it. So it was easy for me, and I really didn't care if no one doubted me. I just knew I wanted to be good, and whatever that took for me to do, that's what I done.
You went to do tryout for the NBA, you were like really close to get into a team. Can you share with us the experience of doing a tryout for NBA teams?
Yeah, well, first the tryout came about because I went 4 years at James Madison University. I had a decent college career, and I got invited to 2 NBA workouts.
Yeah.
And coming from a mid-major university, that was huge for me. Like just to have an opportunity to finally show myself on what we know as the top level. So I went to the tryout. I remember the phone call. I remember packing my bags, getting ready. Just I was happy, man. Like, to be truthfully honest. And I went and I had a good showing. And
which team was it for?
The Charlotte Bobcats and the Washington Wizards.
Yeah. So it was really back in the days, because now we know them as the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah.
And when you get the call, what is happening in your mind?
I think actually my coach told me. My coach told me about it, and I was like, and at the time you have different type of like summer workouts with NBA teams. You have like I forget the number, but you have one that like a lot of players come to.
Yeah.
So you have that one, and then you have like, it's kind of almost like a special invite, like where it's less players. So I got invited to that one, and I was just like, really? And he was like, you won't be the top guy there because there's other top Division I players there, but you definitely gonna have an opportunity to go in and prove yourself. And I was just excited, man. I called my friends, like I was telling like my mother. I told my father, man. I was just happy. Like my teammates, they was happy for me, and I was just happy to go, man.
And you went. I suppose you did your best.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, as we know, you didn't make it to try out.
Right.
How did you take it? Like, was that a deception, or maybe something that made you stronger?
I think it made me stronger in a way, but I knew that there was a lot of politics into it also.
Okay.
Like in America, you have some politics, and those who play basketball, they understand the politics of basketball. So my showing, I felt like I had a great showing. Like I felt like everything was well. But I knew sometimes you can be the best player don't mean you're going to get the opportunity. Not saying I was the best player, but I definitely left my mark there. But for me, it just gave me more of a drive to go prove myself on whatever level I need to prove myself on.
I see. So from there, you went overseas.
Yeah.
Right? So what was the fact? Because they told you, if I remember, we discussed about it, and you told me it won't be this year. Try next time. It was good, but try it next time. So you had you had 2 choices: wait and try again, or go overseas, which you did.
Right. At that time, it was I'm not sure. I don't think the G League even started yet. It was maybe the D League. Like they were starting that. But I talked to my head coach, and he told me he had a friend, a colleague, who coached professional in Ireland. And at the time, my other coach, his name was Lou Rowe. He was a great coach to me. He helped me with a lot of things. So he told me, you know, if you have an opportunity to play in Europe, just go and prove yourself. So in my mind, I had at this time I didn't have an agent, but I had people just telling me just to go. And I heard some stories about overseas basketball, and I talked to a team in Germany.
Yeah.
And I was afraid to go to Germany.
Why is that?
Because I heard the stories of, you know, if you go and, you know, if you don't play good, the first practice, they'll cut you.
Oh.
So I'm thinking like, I don't want to go and get cut. And I was sure with my skill level, my talent level, I'm like, I know that I can go and prove myself, but I just don't want to go and get cut.
Yeah, because
so
it's hard.
Yeah, I think I'm like, it was just so many stories in my mind. So the Ireland was the next thing, and the coach name was Pat Price, and I talked to him on the phone, And he was like, yeah, man, we want you to come over. You'll have an opportunity. And I just asked him, I was like, you know, what if I don't have like a good practice or something like that? He was like, oh no, we're not gonna cut you, don't worry about that. So that kind of was like,
Germany, man.
Yeah, it kind of like eased my mind a little bit. But yeah, that was my first year in Ireland, and it was a great year.
Yeah.
Like
if I looked a bit and you averaged great numbers, like 30 points most of your games.
Yeah.
You were a top player in this league for the time you went there.
Mm-hmm.
What was your experience? Like, did you? I think you find it different than US.
Yeah.
But how much different?
I think the first thing that some of the players, now I was becoming professional. So this means in college, you know, we just going to class, going to study hall, and going to basketball practice.
Okay.
So now my only job was to play basketball.
Yeah.
So some of my teammates in Ireland, they worked too, and they had families too. So I wasn't used to that.
Mm-hmm.
But
you were new to professionalism.
Yeah, I was new to it, but I accepted everything, and I understood that some of these players wasn't making like high money, or they wasn't trying to go to the NBA or EuroLeague or something like this, but they was professional in their country.
Mm-hmm.
So I just took it and went with it, man. It wasn't like so shocking to me, but I think.
Wasn't it shocking to see people working at the same time and playing?
In that part, like, but then I was so open and trying to understand every element of it. So when the coach told me, you know, some of the players, they work, and I'm like, what you mean they work? I'm like, they're not professional? And he just told me, he was like, yeah, some of them, they are, but they're not going to have the chance to make the money that you're going to make or get to the level that you're going to get to. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of cool with me, but some of those guys, I think, I remember all of them. I don't want to just call out names because maybe some of the names I forget, but
no, it's okay.
I remember one of my first games, I points-wise, stats-wise, I had a good game, but we lost the game. And if you know Ireland is a small country, so I'm on the back of the bus, I'm mad, I'm upset, and one of my teammates come to me and he say, you want to have a beer? And I'm like, have a beer? I don't want to have no beer. Like, we lost. So I put my headphones back on. And he was like, oh, man, have a beer. And he was like, don't worry about it. You played good. And I'm like, so? We still lost. And he like, man, don't worry about that. You're a good player. Like,
you will have occasions.
Yeah, you're going to have, we're going to win a game, and it's going to be like this. This is your first professional game. Like, don't worry. And I remember we made it back to the city. He took me to my apartment. I took a shower, and then we went out to the local bar and had beers with the team, and it was great, man. Those guys really, they helped me, and I'm thankful to have some of those guys that I had on that team with me.
Yeah, you had the growth in mindset.
Yeah.
And that, in your professional debut, then you went to play in France.
Yeah.
That was your next steps. That was it more because France is a bigger country,
right.
So there is more teams in the league. Can you tell us what did you expect in terms of basketball when you came from Ireland and then moved to a bigger league like France?
Well, I knew the level was going to be higher, because I had seen some games, watched a lot of video on the talent level. And, you know, I've done my small little research to know, like, okay, these players went to France. Some of these guys are maybe as talented as me, as bigger, as stronger, as faster. So I knew the level was going to be different. And, you know, coming from some places, you know, you look at I'll just be vague. I knew France had a lot of Africans. And if you know Africa, you know, like, they're as big as you, strong as you, athletic as you. And I don't know, it kind of excited me because I knew that France was going to be, once again, a stepping stone for me to prove myself.
Yeah.
And to me, that wasn't nothing new. I had always been proving myself on each level. So I wasn't the guy that's going to go in and say, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. I'm going to just go in and prove myself day by day. And I think that's what I did when I was in France. But it was challenging. But once again, I was around good guys and teammates and guys who just helped me along my way to understand the way of life in France. And you have the language barrier. But none of that really, it didn't bother me. It didn't affect me. Like I was open to everything. But the competition was, it was good. It was good.
I like this mindset of underdog that you have. If I'm correct, you didn't have an agent when you came overseas from America, and you get your first agent when you were in France, when you started playing in France. I had this discussion with maybe another professional player that you know, Michel Ofik-Enzege.
Yeah, I know.
He has played for Swiss nationality many times. He has played in Switzerland in the league, the same as you.
Right.
And now he's playing overseas. He told me one thing: agent is one of the most important choice of the player.
Right.
What do you have to say about this?
I believe it's some truth to that statement, but I feel like it go both ways. I think being an agent can be difficult. I think being a player can be difficult. And I know from my experience that agents are very important because some agents have the power, the contacts to put you in certain situations that maybe another agent can't. And I also understand being an agent sometimes is a dirty business because you never know what is going on, what the player is doing, what the team is doing, you know, the work that's going on behind your back. But on the other side, I also believe that some players, they say, it's my agent, when sometimes the player need to put in the work.
Yeah.
You can't just say it's my agent and you haven't
everything on your agent.
Yeah. You can't just say, oh, it's my agent's fault that I don't have this opportunity. No, maybe just because you didn't play well, or maybe the team didn't like you. But you have to put in the work. And sometimes as a player, just because you have a good season, this doesn't mean that the agent maybe is going to get you the best contract your next year. But I think what Michelle said, I think that's a solid point. I think it's very, very important. And I've talked to my fair share of agents throughout my career.
Yeah.
Some I agreed with, some I didn't agree with, some I trust, some I don't trust.
I think trust is the most important factor because if he's doing things in your back that you don't know, it is his job to do that. But you have no trust in him to conduct business for you. It's difficult.
And with that, I knew at some point I wanted to make my own decisions. I didn't want to just lean on the agent because maybe he had a plan, maybe he had an idea, but I'm the type of person that for my future, I want to have some control and some say-so. If the agent just tell me, hey, Juwann, do this and do that, and if it don't go well, I'm gonna be looking at the agent like, man, you told me to do that. I can sleep better knowing that
you took the decision.
Yeah, I made the decision. Maybe it was a good decision. Maybe the decision didn't work so well, but I made the decision. So for me, I can sleep well with that. But knowing that someone else controlled the decision for me, that's not an option. But at the same time, some agents know more than what I know. So I would lean on the agent to tell me some stuff or at least give me some guidance or help me. One of my close friends, and I will say his name, Tony Brown, you know, he's an agent now and he's working his way up, doing a great job. And he often tell me what go on in the business and some of the stories that I couldn't even believe, but he's been a player, professional, and now he's on the other side being an agent. And I can understand how challenging that can be for him at times because now he understands the business. But just hearing some stories that he tell me sometimes, I know the business can be pretty challenging for agents too.
Yeah, I think so. Now, after France, you finally come play to Switzerland.
Yeah.
You told me that there was another choice. There was a possibility for you to play in Belgium.
Yeah.
Why Switzerland? I think Belgium has a bigger league than Switzerland.
Yeah,
in terms of
actually,
size.
I was talking to my agent, and he gave me some pointers that I didn't really agree with, and me and him stopped working together. And during this time, I didn't really have an agent during these summer months, so I didn't maybe make the best decision. And someone reached out to me from Belgium, and the team, they was very interested in me. To say the least, they wanted to sign me. And I talked to like the GM of the team, I talked to the coach, and they was like, okay, give us a few days, and you know, we're gonna have the meeting with the club and everything like that, and we're gonna send the contract.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to Belgium. I'm kind of telling like people in my family, yeah, I'm going to Belgium. I'm playing Belgium next year. So in between those days, I get a phone call from the Geneva Lions, and just more simply, they offered and they sent the contract. So
right away.
yeah, maybe I talked to them that day. Probably the next day they sent the contract.
Okay.
And that was then when the contract came on the email, and they sent it to like your mail, your home address in America. So I got their contract first, and at the time, it was already late in the summer. So for me, I was already wanting to sign my contract so I can start working. And I heard them talking, and at the same time, I was still interested about France, because France, I would have made more if I would have stayed in France.
Yeah, I think I remember you told me that your agent from that time wanted you to stay in France.
Yeah.
He wouldn't you to go either in Switzerland or Belgium, right?
Yeah. Because I think the deal, which I found out after, if I stayed on that team, he would have got a higher commission.
Okay.
So he was pushing me kind of in a sense to stay on that team. But I knew, because of the coach, he told me at the time, he was like, this team next year going to have, you know, a few, the money, the salary for the team budget is going down.
Yeah.
So the coach told me that in a meeting. So that kind of alerted me, like, maybe I shouldn't stay here, because I don't want to have situations, you know, not getting paid and things like this. But the agent, maybe he didn't know that. So I knew. So I was saying, no, I don't want to come back here. And he was just kind of pushing me, like, you should stay. And I'm like, no. So we kind of like bumped heads with that. So that was my reason of not staying in France at the time. And I felt like, too, he didn't approach other teams about me in France. So now I'm just thinking, okay, I need to go to another country. But at the same time, I knew that it was already said that, okay, he can score. Not like I'm a high scorer, but I scored some. I was the leading scorer on that team, but I was on the losing team.
Yeah, it was not a top tier team.
Yeah, so now the goal is to go to a middle class team or a top team and prove yourself on that level. So in France, you know, you have like 17, 18 teams. That's kind of hard.
That's a lot.
So what Suisse was offering me, it was the chance to be on a team that was going to be competing for a championship, a team that had went to the finals the previous year. So the money wasn't higher, but the level was still a top level, and I would have a chance to be on a winning team. So that's kind of sold me on the deal.
Okay, so finally you get to choose the team. You go to the Switzerland because they have a shot at that time to win the title.
Yeah.
Which you did.
Yeah.
That's where you met Jeremy Jonin.
Yeah, that's my guy.
We had an episode with him. Maybe you have seen it, and we talk on a subject that we also talked with Michel. It's about the fact that players have to go overseas to come back in Switzerland and have a good career and good salary.
Right.
Like, from your point of view as an American who come to play from abroad to Switzerland, why do you think is that?
You mean for the Swiss player or for the American player?
Like, from your point of view, For the Swiss player, why do they have to leave and go to France and America, then come for having good career in Switzerland when they come back?
Well, I think I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna sound like I'm not bashing Swiss as a country or Swiss basketball, but the money is low. I think one of the goals for a basketball player is to earn money too.
Yeah.
You have a limited amount of time that you can do this and do this at a top level, and you have to earn money.
Yeah.
And I'm not asking to say that you need to earn money that you don't deserve or you haven't put in the work for, but I think that's one of the key factors in Switzerland is the money, because Switzerland is an expensive country. And they're one of the famous quotes that everybody say in the basketball world, from teams or from managers, is, we don't have the money, we don't have the budget. And I'm thinking, somebody have it. I don't know who, but somebody have it.
And you have to find it.
Yeah, you have to find it. And it takes work to find it. Like, just like the players, if we want something, we have to work for it. In the clubs, you have to work for it also. But I think it's a shame for some of the top Swiss players, the top talent that you have here in Switzerland, that they can't earn the money that they should earn in their own country. Yeah. And I personally feel like, I don't know, if I'm them as a group, I don't know what they can do, but they need to band together to change that. Because this money, and I know some players' contracts, I know their salaries, the money that some of them are getting paid is disrespectful. Because I know the cost of living in Switzerland. I live in Switzerland, and I've lived in Switzerland, so I know the cost of what it costs, and some money is disrespectful.
Yeah, too low.
Yeah.
Because maybe some people who might be outside of the basketball world in Switzerland might think, yeah, you are a player, so you probably make a lot of money.
Right.
And if you don't, maybe you have some advantages.
Yeah.
Like maybe the club give you a car, or maybe they give you an apartment, or maybe they pay you your insurance.
Right.
But do you see what kind of car? Do you see what kind of apartment? That's what they don't see.
Yeah.
And that's also part of the equation, like, I think what you say, it's disrespectful.
Yeah, I mean, you have some clubs, and this is the part that the people don't know. I've seen some players' apartments. I've maybe stayed in one myself, that sometimes when I look at it, I say, but they wouldn't stay in that apartment. The people from the club, they wouldn't. Why would you put one adult in that apartment and you wouldn't stay in it? And sometimes I've seen players in a situation where they come over to Europe with their family and they want them to stay with another family. I think that's unacceptable. But people don't know this go on. And sometimes, the apartment is shit. Yeah, like the car they give them, if they give them a car, and the arrangement sometimes is not well. So for some clubs it's well, they really try, but I think they can do more. But
I think it's kind of discouraging for player that they put the effort, they train like 2 times, they go to the gym for the clubs, they are required to be professional, and they made as much as, I don't want also to bash on any the league, but they don't make as much as a cashier from Migros or jobs like that. So you kind of ask yourself, why would I put so much effort if someone working as a normal job can make as much as me?
Exactly, and I think they use that title, professional. My thinking is a little bit old school. When you say professional, that means something to me. So this means you act accordingly, you work accordingly, and you do as a professional player or a professional worker. And I think teams, they say, oh, we want a professional player. But if that's what you want, you have to be professional also. I think it's sometimes one-sided. So even in Switzerland, when they hear, oh, you play professional.
Yeah.
That word maybe can make people think, okay, you're making a certain level of money. They see you in the journal, they see you in the newspaper, they see you on social media, they see you on TV. So they're thinking, okay, maybe he make decent money. Because I'm considered a professional player, the same as a professional player in the NBA or the professional player in EuroLeague or top leagues around Europe. but this don't mean that we're making the same money.
True.
And I tell some players, yeah, I'm professional, like the player from Milano or the player from Fenerbahce. We're considered professional, but the salary that he's making is not the same salary that I'm making.
True.
So they try to put that all together, and it's not the same.
It's interesting because I never thought of the meaning behind the word professional when it's used by people who are not in the sports. What do you think could make things change? Because for the player, I think it's kind of hard to talk for themselves, because if they do, maybe they might get cut.
Oh, well, that's for sure. I think at this point, I'm 14, 15 years professional.
Mm-hmm.
So I've made some decent money, but they can't control what I'm going to say. I don't care if I'm not going to say nothing disrespectful, but I'm going to speak my truth and what I believe in and what I know to be true. If some of the players that play now, if they speak up, the team not going to want to work with them. Mm. Or the team going to say they're difficult to work with and things like this. For me, I don't care. And because I have to stand on what I believe and what I stand for. Mm-hmm. So I think it can be some transparency. But I don't really think that some teams, some clubs, and I don't think Swiss basketball want to do that. They talk like they want to do that, but they don't want to do that. Mm. They just want to be okay, just stay in the middle. Because it's so much talent in Suisse, yeah. From the coaches, from the trainers, from the players. It's a lot of talent here. True. But they always want the minimum. And that can be fine. I'm not saying that's bad, but you have people that want to be the best. Yeah. Players want to be the best. Some coaches want to be the best. So why not put your best effort? And even for fans watching the game, sometimes when I'm seeing the game and I'm thinking, why would I come watch Swiss basketball when the players don't even want to play because they don't have no incentive of playing? And you can see it with the national team. And I know most of the Swiss players, like I have great relationships with many of them. But when you look at the national team, why play for the national team? You can say you love your country. Yeah, but it's still work. You want to miss your whole summer and you work 10 months out the year to go play with a national team that maybe is not putting in the effort that you're putting in.
Mm-hmm. Jeremy told us in the podcast that about the national team, he loved to play in there. There was great people, as you say, talented people. Right. But the fact is, he missed his whole summer for playing with Swiss team, and the money he got didn't allow him to pay his rent and other obligations, and he had to step down. Like he had to make a choice for his financial well-being. Right. Because playing for Swiss team was not as good financially for him as working. Right. So I think that's why maybe some player doesn't want to play that long for Swiss team.
Yeah, because there's no incentive on it. The thing is, when you play professional, you work so hard to be professional, and it's a job for us. So when it's a job, you want to get paid. I'm not saying that you should get paid millions, but you should get paid decent. And I think it's a different decent than what's decent in France compared to what's decent in Switzerland. Mm-hmm. Switzerland is very expensive to stay in Switzerland. So I think that the players should get paid more if they deserve it. And you have players, I don't really want to get into the names, but I know some top players in Switzerland that have a job. And I'm thinking, man, you like the best in your position, and you have a job on the side. Maybe not because you want to, but financially you have to. But at the same time, the club wants you to be the best player you can be.
And it might prevent them to be even greater.
Yeah. So I think it's a lot of potential, like I said, but I don't really know. From my experience of being around Swiss basketball for about 10 years, it's hard to say if I believe they want to fix that situation. Sometimes I think they want the best product for the less amount of money.
After Switzerland,
yes.
You came to what is one of your best experiences in basketball. You went to play in Istanbul.
Yeah. No, in Lebanon.
Lebanon.
Yeah.
Lebanon. And you told me that it was so much different from Switzerland for the simple reason that they say, I will let you tell us the story.
Yeah.
What was so different?
I think just right away, well, going to Lebanon, we say the Middle East, I hadn't had an opportunity to go to play on that side yet. So that was the goal. I wanted to play on that side. I didn't care what money they offered. I was going to prove myself if I had to prove myself again. I'm always going to do that. So right away when I went out, it kind of reminded me of like the American feel, because they treat you like a basketball player. At least I can't speak for all the Middle East and every team in Lebanon, but the team I was on, they done some things that I knew Switzerland would never do, or at least they have never done with me. Right away they called, and I went out, flew out, we played some preseason games, but they knew it was already stated in my contract that I needed to fly back to Switzerland to handle some more things and things like that. So at the time, I flew out, and we had a tournament in Egypt. So they was like, don't worry, you don't have to fly back to Lebanon, you can just meet us in Cairo. And I'm like, okay, how am I gonna get to Cairo? So they was like, don't worry, we're gonna fly you from Geneva to Cairo. And I'm like, okay. And at the time, you know, I have my woman and, you know, my situation, my personal situation. So they was like, don't worry, we can fly her too. So I'm like, really? They was like, yeah, don't worry about it. So we out there, and we with the team, and I'm with a good friend. Well, I met him when I was out there, named Courtney Fields. So he played around Europe too, and he was like, yeah, I think the situation with this team is okay. So this day, we in Egypt, in Cairo, so all the players, we wanted to go see the pyramids.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so the coach say, okay, let's go. Let's get in some taxis, let's go see the pyramids. So we go see the pyramids, and we have a game this night, like a preseason game, probably like 7:30 at night. But that day, we seeing the pyramids, riding camels in the desert. But it was great because the coach, he understood and we understood, like, we were still professional, but it's preseason. And it was kind of like team bonding too. And I'm still in contact with some of those players and the coach sometimes from that team, the general manager also. It was just a great experience. And like situations, I remember when I first came, I disliked my apartment, only because, quite frankly, it wasn't furnished like they said it was. So I just asked them, I was like, hey, my other teammates stay in this building. Could you move in the building where he's at? He said apartments are nicer. They said, okay, no problem.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, that's...
They were really caring about you.
Yeah, I mean, they showed that, and I can't say they do that for every player, but I think also they understood that I was a professional player. Yeah. And like I said, I take the word professional very serious when it comes to my work. So they treated me like I think I deserve to be treated.
Yeah.
But I've had that in Switzerland too. Like I can say, I had a few difficult situations in Switzerland, but some coaches, presidents, they understand that I've put in the work and I've shown that I'm professional, and they've tried to do what they can do to make my situation a little bit better or convenient that it need to be. Yeah. Like in Masanyo, I will say the coach there, Robbie Gubatosa, he tries. And
you told me that the president of Geneva Lions, Ahmad Fatal, was trying also his best to improve the situation in the club.
Yeah, I think I must say I've gained a lot of respect for Ahmad. I knew him because I played up under him when he was the president of Geneva. Some things I can't say I agree with everything that he done. Yeah. But to this day, I've talked to Ahmad maybe a few weeks ago, and we just had a decent conversation like two men, and like saying our history together, some things that maybe he could have done better, maybe some things that I could have done better as a player. But I respected him for that because he didn't seem like a man who he just trying to just get over on you. I think he tried his best as a president, and in some parts of being a president, the business part of it, maybe I couldn't understand at the time, but I understand it now. But I think he tried, but I can't speak about Geneva Lions today. I don't know their president. I know a few people around the organization, but they recently offered me this year, but I think what they done was disrespectful to me, like as a disrespectful about what they offered me. I think, and I can say it on here, I'll say it because it's the truth. They offered me a contract that was the same contract they probably would try to offer a first-year player.
Damn.
And but at the same time, they'll tell me, you professional, you bring a lot to the table, and all of this, and you offer me something like this. And I think one of their goals this year, they won't say it, but the players know, and some of the players, they can't say it also, is that they trying to benefit from the players who live in Switzerland. Because that way, maybe they don't have to pay for some apartments, they don't have to pay for some cars, and the things like that. And me, I understand that sometimes everybody want to benefit, but I won't let you benefit off of the things that I've earned.
Yeah.
Like maybe I can stay in Switzerland because of how my situation is, or maybe I have a vehicle in Switzerland because of my situation. But normally for one American player, they would take the flight, they would take an apartment, and they probably would take a car.
Yeah.
But for me, they didn't offer me none of that. So
just a regular contract.
Yeah.
I think what you are trying to say is, your worth, and
Yeah.
you won't go for less than that.
Yeah.
Which is, I think it should be normal to some point. Maybe
Right.
when you are starting as a young player,
Right.
it's more normal to accept underpaid contracts. But the more you evolve, as you said yourself, the more you prove yourself,
Yeah.
it's more normal to say, okay, I know what I can bring to you. So if you want this, you must match the financial amount, or at least
And
give
I think
compensation.
I'm not saying like I know my worth because I'm making this up in my mind.
Yeah.
I think with years
There is
of
numbers.
Yeah, it's numbers that you can find them on the internet. Not saying I'm the best or I was the best, but you can look back and go through my resume and see, okay, he's done this and he was a part of this and things like that. But I think they just want to benefit in a way that I can't let them benefit on.
Yeah.
So, and I wish them the best, but I think they can be better and they can be more transparent. I mean, it's not that hard.
Yeah. Let's switch subject. It's still in the basketball in Switzerland, but you are an American foreign player
Right.
who play in Switzerland, and of course there is stereotype about this. Like when people are like, okay, we are going to play a team, they have two Americans. We have this stereotype of foreign player who think of themselves as star and have big ego,
Right.
and doesn't talk to their teammates, are cold. You are a big man. I played against you. I played basketball years ago. We were on a summer league tournament, and I've seen you on the court.
Right.
I face you. You have a serious face.
Right.
You are big and you don't talk that much. So you give a vibe that when someone who doesn't know you approach you,
Yeah.
it makes you less approachable, I would say.
Right.
But when we get to know you, you are none of that.
Yeah.
But
I hope.
I know, but yeah, you are physical, but you can be a good person.
Right.
And I've heard stories about like American player or foreign player in general who think they are above the other player,
Right.
and are not willing to get along. What do you have to say about this stereotype?
I think first part of that stereotype is true. Only because I can't make an excuse for some people that's just the way they are. But for me, I can speak about myself. Like I wasn't raised like that. I think my upbringing was to respect everybody.
Yeah.
So that's what I know, and that's who I am. And I think for me, maybe because of how I was raised, I've been raised in certain parts of America. I don't know if I developed this thing to just look serious all the time. So, but serious, not like in a bad way. Maybe it's just like a straight face.
Yeah, normal face.
Yeah. So, and I've tried to work on it because I don't want to be non-approachable. I want people to approach me. And for the people who know me, like my close friends, my family, some of my teammates, they know I joke all the time. I'm joking all the time. But when it's time to work, I work. But I can be serious and I can joke. Yeah. But I think me, I'm like I said before, I don't care, man. I respect everybody, and white, black, race. I don't care about none of that. Like I respect everybody as humans, as long as you respect me. And even to the Swiss players, like it's some of them. If I have to name all of them, because I've played with a lot of them, and Jeremy, because you had him on, Noe, Annabir, Michelle,
did an interview with him too.
I talked to him, and even some of the Marco Majan, Dujan, Nathan Jerkovic, Couture, all the top ones, like just all of them, like even my teammates in Masanyo, like Alex, Very, like all those guys. Like I don't care what level you are, the top player, a player that don't even get in the game, man. I try to be cool and cordial with all of them because we all here trying to do the same thing.
Yeah,
and
the goal is to win.
Yeah, I'm always invite them to eat or have a drink or whatever it is, because I'm just a normal guy. Maybe to them, or I'm one foreigner that maybe have a better resume than them, but that don't mean nothing.
Yeah.
So like that, man, I just try to be as normal as I can be and just respect everybody. And I think those dudes kind of appreciate that, and I appreciate them. Like this makes my work environment easy, and it makes their work environment easy too.
Yeah.
And
I think when you are aligned on the goal, which is winning, it makes things easy for everybody, because you are okay. We are on the same team.
Right.
Our goal is for all of us is to win. So how can we do things so we get to that? Yeah,
and I tell some of my teammates sometimes, like I remember one of my teammates, and when I work sometimes, I'm not like the talkative person. I always want to lead by example. So I just try to go in that way. But sometimes in practice, I could say some things like, some things to push the player how I think I need to push him. And one of them came to me after practice, and he was like, "Yo, Jay, man, I apologize for what I said. I was like, man, I don't give a shit. Like, don't worry about what I said. It was just in the moment. We in practice. It's not too personal. Like, and I told him, I was like, man, if I say something to you, don't take it personal. But I know not to cross the line. I won't never cross the line to be disrespectful or something like that. But
that's a fine line to cross. Not to cross.
Yeah.
Some don't see it. They go overboard because it's in their nature. I have played with some guys like that, and some like you are hard. They push others to do better.
Yeah. But
I know player can take it personal even when it's not. You are not saying that way. So.
Yeah. But that's true. But even sometimes maybe I said something that maybe I feel like I shouldn't have said, and I've came back to one of my teammates and apologized. Like, man, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't mean to come at you like that. Like, I'm not that big of a person where I can say I made a mistake or I'm sorry. Like, that's being a man. Take accountability for maybe your mistake, or maybe you said something in the wrong way.
Yeah.
So,
Juwann.
Yeah.
I want to know, what is your definition of success?
Success.
Yeah.
I think this is. Everybody have their own definition, but I just think I make it simple. From a basketball standpoint, is one way, and I think from a life standpoint, it's another way. As as one man, I think as long as you can take care of yourself and provide for you, then I think that's successful.
Yeah.
And I think as long as you're not doing, like killing, stealing, going to jail, like these things like this, I think that's successful. I think as a basketball player, success is when you done put in the work, you're doing the best you can do, and you leave it on the court or you leave it on the field. That can be success. Success sometimes is not going to say you scored 20 points or you won a championship or, you got all these accolades.
Yeah.
That's a part of your success, but that's not everything that's success. I think success is just what you can give. If you feel like you gave your best, then that's successful. And I look at the small little successes, like something is small to me, that can be a successful step. And I think, some people judge success by what they say on social media, on Instagram, Facebook. That's for them. Like, it's not, I like parts of that because, I can see my family put some pictures, not put some pictures, but I'm not super big on that. But
we are in this era a lot about appearance.
Yeah.
Like, if you see on social media someone who is going to many places in the year or
Right.
Showing up in expensive stores or with expensive cars, you might think he's successful, but as you told me, it might not even be his own cars.
Yeah, exactly. Like I respect what each person do. Like that's their thing, but it's not mine. Like I'm of the era almost kind of showing less.
Oh, old school.
Yeah, but I get on there and I show things too. But just like anybody, I can go. If I get on there and take a picture next to a Rolls Royce, people gonna think, "Oh, you have a Rolls Royce?" Maybe it's not my Rolls Royce; it's somebody else's car. But I'm not trying to get on there and be famous and stuff like that. And some of my best times is times that maybe I don't put on the internet. Mm-hmm. Like I got thousands of pictures in my phone, like things I haven't posted. Maybe I don't even think to post them, like traveling and just having great moments with friends and family and these moments like this, but maybe it's not for social media.
Yeah.
But I just think it's a different, you can express yourself on it, and sometimes I do, but I'm not trying to make someone think.
You are about more concrete things than appearance.
But it's not for, it's for me. Like I want to be okay with me.
Yeah.
So, and it's a picture, we all can put the best picture. I can put the best picture up right now, but this don't mean I'm not going through something personal. This don't mean sometimes I have financial problems or I have problems with my family or things like this. It's normal. When you put a picture, you want to put a good picture. Like for anybody, I don't see a woman that's going to put her worst picture on the internet or a picture in your worst moment. You're going to try to put a nice picture, but the picture is only a piece. Like, and I live a normal life. Like some things, maybe material I have more than what some people have, or maybe I don't, but this is for me. And this is, like my purchase and things I like. Sometimes it's not for the world to see.
Yeah, true. I discussed about that on another episode of the podcast with someone who worked at Tataki. I don't know if you know about it. It's part of RTS, the national television.
Right.
But back on the subject, what is your number one advice for a young player who wants to achieve success by the standard you have said earlier?
That's hard. That's hard to say, but I think I would say just put in the work. Put in the work consistently. I think I tried to put in the work consistently.
Yeah,
consistency. Like maybe at some point I wasn't the best. Like I know at some stages I knew a player that was better than me. He was more skilled than me. This doesn't mean that he worked harder than me. This doesn't mean that every day he's going to come in the same way. I was trying to come in the same way or even better every day. So this helped me in my career. Now, could I have been better? Yes, I could have been. But I think if I had to tell a young player something, this is like put in the work. And maybe it's not going to come, some success is not going to come overnight. Like if I go to the gym and run 2 miles right now, I'm not going to just lose weight. Like you have to do it day by day, and it's a slow process sometimes. So sometimes, you know, it's a slow process for anything. Even anything that I approach just now, sometimes doing business stuff outside of the court, sometimes it's a slow process. And I'm learning that outside of the sport. So I think I would just tell them that just put in the work. And sometimes the accolades and the stuff, maybe it come after. And if you don't see success right away, don't get down. Because sometimes people don't know how to judge success sometimes.
True.
Like you have one good game, people say you're great. You have a bad game, people say, oh, you're bad. It's only one game is like a few hours out your day. So I think just, man, if you don't see the accolades or the positive, you know, the conversations after that, like, don't stop, still put in the work. And I think that's what I would tell a young player.
Kind of trying to see the bigger picture.
Yeah, see the bigger picture. And maybe it's not going to go how you think it's going to go, but I'm sure that you're going to be happy with yourself because you put in the work.
I think how to assess your success is something key that you just say.
Yeah, and look yourself in the mirror. That's one thing I try to be like. It's one thing that I learned early. Like, I'm not the tallest player. I wish I was. Like, maybe I would be in the higher league. Like, if I was taller or something like this. But I look at myself in the mirror when it comes to the sport and say, okay, Juwann, you done this. You made this mistake. You could have been better here. I think this helped me in some situations in my career. Like when I missed the assignment on defense or I didn't know the play, I can point the finger at someone else or I can point the finger at me because some of that stuff I can control. I can control my physical shape, studying video, training, you know, listening to the coaches, listening to my teammates, helping my teammates. Those are things that I can control. Yeah. So those are things that I can look myself in the mirror and be better at myself.
Okay, I understand. Juwann, this interview is coming to an end. I have one last question for you.
Yeah.
If you could go back in time and meet the young Juwann and tell him about all you have to accomplish and give him a word of advice, what would it be?
Young Juwann. I don't know, man.
It's a challenging question.
It's a challenging question. It's some things that I would tell. I can't say I regret some things, but it's definitely some things I wish I would have knew younger in the sport. But just stay in the gym and learn all I can learn in the gym. Sometimes I think I was afraid to learn some stuff, or I didn't want to do it because I didn't maybe want to go through that process in the moment. But after I'd done it, but I should have done it earlier. I think that I would have benefited off of that. Just stay in the gym, just train, continue to perfect your craft to even be better. Like I think that would have helped me. That would have helped me more because I pushed myself, but I can say that, you know, it's some elements I should have went back and done that more.
Yeah.
I would have been even a better player.
True.
So I think I would tell myself that. But to this point, I think I'm okay. Like I said, I'm not the best, but I think it's some stuff I did that you can research and say, man, he done that, or he was there, he played against that opponent, and I get respect from some people that you know I had admiration for in the game of basketball. So especially from where I was from, growing up in my city, getting respect from some of those people. Sometimes it don't mean nothing, but sometimes it mean a lot. So even after my last game in Masanyo, just recently, someone was saying, man, at your age, man, and you still moving like that and competing like that on that level, that means something to me.
Someone small text or words of appreciation can mean a lot to us in general. It doesn't have to be basketball. It can be business or any field of life. Right. Juwann, thank you very much for coming to this podcast episodes. Yeah. It was a pleasure to talk with you.
Man, same here, man. I
I
definitely
think-
appreciate it.
I think people will be. I hope people will find what you have to say interesting too.
I hope.
Cet épisode est terminé. Merci de l'avoir suivi jusqu'à la fin. Si vous avez aimé, n'hésitez pas à liker, à vous abonner à la chaîne pour nous soutenir, pour qu'on ait plus d'invités de qualité comme Juwann James. En attendant de vous retrouver au prochain épisode, je vous dis, trust the process.